Welcome to the Movies to Watch Before You Die podcast. My name is Gab, and I'm here with my cousin and co-host.
Dylan.
And today we are talking about a movie that I decided to watch without knowing whether or not it was a movie to watch before you die. And that is the 2026 breakout horror thriller underdog story, Obsession.
Yeah, definitely a good call by calling it an underdog story, as this movie just crossed this week, or maybe in the past week as of this recording, $400 million, which we'll talk more about, like the box office performance a little bit later in. But kind of crazy. This is like the little engine that could, I feel like, of horror movies. It was this, and it's also a fitting thing going along with all these YouTube movies that have come out in the past year. And by which, when I say YouTube movies, movies by former YouTubers. You had Shelby Oaks by Chris Stuckman, Iron Lung by Markiplier, Backrooms by Kane Parsons, and Obsession by Curry Barker. It's really quite the breakout. It, like, the closest thing it reminds me of is indie film in like the 90s, rising out of Sundance and rising out of guys like Kevin Smith or Quentin Tarantino and things like that. We'll see, obviously, how the careers of these guys turn out, but quite the start for a guy like Curry Parker with this low budget movie.
Isn't he like 26 years old?
I think he's 26 now. I think he was 24 when they like first shot it or something like that.
It's
Something
insane.
crazy like that. Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm already decrepit and I've made nothing.
You have a bulging herniated disc.
Meanwhile, Curry Barker was talking about, I remember when I was a little kid, and I can't remember what movie he said. I was like, fuck you. Like, I was like
Oh
in
my God.
college when this movie he mentioned. He was like, oh yeah, I grew up on Hereditary. And I'm like, no, you didn't. That was like 2019. What do you mean?
Oh God. We were watching the Mets last night, and unfortunately the Mets are playing against the Kansas City Royals, and which obviously hurts my feelings very much because we lost to them in the World Series in 2015. Anyway, there's a player named Salvador Perez on the Royals, and
Sure,
we are looking
catcher.
at him. Yeah. And we are like, this is somebody's father. Like, that is a grown ass man. How old is this guy? And we're laughing about, like, how is he still here? Like, what is he doing? Is his back okay? And, like, he looks like such a grown ass man. And then we looked at it and he's younger than Corey.
Oh,
I was like, oh God. Not by a ton, but by enough that it was like, oh boy. They're
yeah.
born he would have been in 11th grade when Corey was in 12th grade.
Damn.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're like, look at this fucking decrepit old guy making his way to the ring. So, it's hard to be our age and look at young people doing things.
It's
And
devastating
yet,
watching younger people succeed, and now I know how all these boomers feel.
yeah,
We
yes.
can't ever let them get homes.
Yes, it's true. So as you know, Dylan, I'm really not a horror movie person for a multitude of reasons, but really the main thing is that I think they are either not scary and their attempt at being scary involves a lot of like plot holes and a lot of suspension of disbelief that I kind of just can't get behind, or they're really gory for the sake of being gory and they're hard for me to look at. Like, I don't like that, but I'm not afraid of it, right? I just find it disturbing.
Sure.
So for the most part, and the thing I think we have to also kind of discuss about horror movies is that they don't really age very well. Like, it's hard to watch a horror movie. Like, it's hard to watch The Exorcist and be as scared as people were in the 70s because we've just come such a long way in terms of like our practical effects. It doesn't quite look as good.
We also over time just desensitized to things. So there
Sure.
may be something, Jaws was horrific at the time. People couldn't go back in the water type of thing. And you watch it now and it's still, you can understand the appeal of it, but it's certainly not as fear inducing to a kid now when they're watching stuff like The Conjuring or Insidious, where there's so much being thrown at the screen. Or if you grew up on Saw and you saw unbelievable, grotesque gore. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I didn't even think about that. So I think, if the movies that adults would say to kids, oh, you want to watch something scary? Here, watch this, aren't really all that scary. And then you get a little older and you start watching things where it's like, oh, look at this. The girl is crawling out of the TV. And it's like, okay, well, I know people, like, I'm not afraid of somebody crawling out of my TV because I know that's not possible. Or like, oh, this guy kills you in your dreams. Like, okay, I'm not afraid of that because I know it's not going to happen to me. It's rare that a movie in this genre really does it for me. But the talk about this movie was so all you can't escape it that one day last weekend when it was like 107 degrees here in New York City, we were like, this would be a great time to go to the movies, right? Just like sit in the air conditioning. We pulled up the movies that are playing. It's like The Minions, Toy Story 5. And I was like, I don't need that kind of emotional breakdown. I don't need to watch Toy Story 5. I know how that's going to go. But Obsession. So I said, you want to give this a shot? And we didn't know anything going in. We knew
Which is the
nothing.
best way to go into a movie nowadays. I feel like there are too many
Yes.
trailers that spoil too much, and sometimes it's great to just, I've heard this is good. Let's just watch.
Yes, that's what we did with Sinners, and I didn't know it was a vampire movie. And I was like, "Ah, this is amazing!" So we just went in blind, and let me tell you about this experience. Okay,
Okay.
so we go in. It's a Friday night. It's like 5:30, right? So it's like nighttime, but not like nighttime. And the theater is pretty full. And nowadays, you pick your seats in advance and whatever. And the theater fills up. The previews come on. Let's talk about some of these previews because I'm assuming that they're the same, right? Like,
Generally should be. It depends
okay,
maybe on the theater chain, but yeah, usually should be the same.
we're AMC. What are you?
I normally go to Showcase. I have their subscription thingy.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, you're really keeping the lights on there, aren't you?
Support your local cinema. Although Showcase is still a big chain, they're just not as big as AMC. Seaford
Okay.
Cinemas, you just closed down. RIP. I loved you so much.
They
They
closed?
closed after decades and decades.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
That's sad. Sorry to hear that. But the preview that I can't get out of my head is the what is it? Evil
Evil Dead
the
Burn.
yeah.
I am.
Well,
That comes out the week we're recording this. So we're recording July 8th, but it's coming out July 10th. I am so excited for that movie.
is that a video game?
No, what do you mean? We watched Evil Dead Rise.
Oh, I think I'm talking about something else. What was the video
You're
game?
talking about Resident Evil?
Resident Evil. That's what I'm
Oh,
talking
is that the
about.
one with the cabin in the dark and like there's like the 80 limbed creature coming out of it type of thing?
Yeah, and I'm thinking
Yeah.
about this one scene where there's like just a really fat guy, and it's like that's the scary thing is
I
this
saw
really
that as a
fat
meme that
guy.
I was like, when the main character walks in on me in the bathroom.
I was like, this is fat phobic. Like, what are we doing here? The scary thing is that he's fat. Like, what?
The scary thing is that he can't stop pooping.
I was like, what the fuck is this? And then Corey was like, it's a video game. And I was like, so who's the fat guy? And he was like, I don't know. I don't play the video
That's the
game.
main
And I
character,
was
Shits
like,
McGee.
I was like, in what part does he have in the video game? And he was like, I don't know. But yeah, that one really stuck with me. But anyway, so the movie starts playing and we're watching and whatever, and it's very captivating and but there's a man in our theater
Oh no.
just pacing like older gentleman walking the aisles and going all the way in the back and walking back up front and crossing back at the end. And I'm like, oh, we're gonna die. Like this is a person plotting a murder. And Corey's like looking over his shoulder and he's like, should I go say something? And I was like, to the teenagers taking tickets, like I don't know. And
Mister,
he
you
walked.
can't really do that in here.
Yes, I was like, they're 16. I don't think they're gonna do anything. And then the guy at one point leaves, but then he comes back in, and the door opens and all the lights. So for the first 10 minutes, I'm more scared of this man pacing through our theater. And Corey goes, should I go out and like neutralize him? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, just make sure he's not a threat. And I was like, do you think that's
The
necessary?
fact
It
that
was
you don't watch
so
It's Always
alarming.
Sunny, because I'm just picturing the character Max saying, I give him the ocular pat down and he passed. You know what I mean? I'm just picturing Corey looking him up and down, the guy looking back and being like, no, I'm not gonna know.
But the best part is that at first Corey was like, "Oh, let me go tell one of the 16-year-olds to take care of him." I was like, "If anyone is going to save us, it's you."
Well,
Like,
I did that recently. I went to see Supergirl and I was like, this sounds bad. Like the trailers were like so loud that you can hear like the speakers not handling the feedback of it. And
yeah.
I go out and I tell, my pimply faced teenager at my local theater, and I'm like, excuse me, the audio seems to be having an issue. It's just really loud on the trailers. He's like, well, it should get better when the movie starts. And he goes, if not, come back then. And I went, okay. And I walked back and thought to myself, so once I'm missing the movie, if the audio is still bad, that's when I should come tell you.
Right.
Fantastic. Glad I paid for the 3D showing of this movie.
Thank you so much, sir. Um, oh my God. It was really like kind of sketchy. So eventually the man left or sat down or whatever. But one of the really funny things that I've seen online, because now my feed is just full of obsession
Same.
stuff and theory and whatever, is people saying like you should be allowed to pace during this movie. And I'm like, apparently you are, because Homeboy was
You
pacing.
are technically allowed to pace during anything you really want to, but no, don't do that.
Yeah, please don't. So that was my experience, but we went because it was really hot and it just seemed like, all right, let's give this a shot. A couple of my friends were like, you should go see this. And so, okay, fine. But we knew nothing going in. So, Dylan, for those who maybe are listening who knew nothing going in or know nothing going in, what is Obsession about?
What's this all been about? What am I working toward?
Explain!
As you would a child.
You think you know everything about me, don't you?
I dive at your bottom. I bloody well ought to.
Obsession is about really a monkey's paw concept where Bear has a crush on one of his three coworkers, his three closest friends, and he snaps the one wish willow, hoping to get the courage, I guess, to like this girl, and that he wishes she liked him more than anyone in the world. And unfortunately, it comes true, and he worded it not great.
Okay. Is IMDb a little more concise?
Yeah.
Okay.
After breaking the mysterious one wish willow to win his crush's heart, a hopeless romantic, finds himself getting exactly what he asked for, but soon discovers that some desires come at a dark, sinister price.
Interesting. Do we have taglines? I think this is tagline list, correct?
No, there are taglines.
Oh,
So I'm going to give you two real taglines and one fake tagline, Gab.
nice.
Be careful who you wish for. You'd
Okay.
like to cancel your wish? We don't really do that. You wished for this.
I think the fake one is you want to cancel your wish? We don't really do that.
Dang it. I was riding off the high of I got you the first time we did this, and since then you've been spot on. I didn't even
Damn.
go in the last one. I did a pun, and that really sank me.
It just felt like the other two were so like
So
concise.
concise.
So just like this is, you know what I mean? They made
Yeah.
sense. Like if I
Yeah.
didn't know what this movie was about, I could have still written those taglines.
I'll get you again, Gab. I'll get you.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. All right, well, I am chomping at the bit.
I think it's champing at the bit.
No.
I think so.
No, it can't be. It's chomping.
I You are not champing or chomping enough to move forward to the opinions.
Oh, it says you're thinking of the idiom champing at the bit, though chomping is now widely accepted. Widely accepted.
Champ on this motherfucker. Should we get some opinions?
Yeah, chomp on these nuts.
In this critic's opinion,
You know, that's just like your opinion, man.
Well, I have a right to my opinion, and my opinion is you have no right to your opinion.
So I'd like to start with perhaps not an opinion, but a complaint, we'll call it, because you had seen this movie.
Yes.
Frank had seen this movie. My friend
Okay.
Sophie had seen this movie. All people who I like, know, trust, admire. And none of you had the decency to say, hey, just so you know, there's a cat in the movie that dies and it looks a lot like Sally and its name is Sandy, which is like really close to Sally. So like maybe you should be warned because Sally is 17 and you know she's kind of nearing the end. And like it would have been so nice to have a little heads up because we were fucking traumatized
I
by
think
this.
in my head, I thought somebody else, I thought you came to me late enough in this process as there were weeks that somebody surely warned Gaff about this. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. Spoiler. We're going to spoil everything about the movie. I'm sure you've seen it already. It's a massive hit. If you haven't, you should watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that it is instant that they're like, here's your cat. I saw an interview with him. I think it was on the Happy Sad Confused podcast where they were they asked, "Are you a dog person or a cat person?" I'm guessing a dog person. He was like, "I'm a dog person. I don't hate cats." I was like, "Yeah, this is not a good look for if you're a cat fan." Sure.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And it was like there's so much to say about this because I would say the biggest you know, the most unbelievable part of this movie, despite all of the magic and the, whatever, is the fact that they suggested that a cat ate pills because Sally won't eat things that she should want. Like she'll beg for whipped cream and I'll put it in front of her and she'll sniff it and be like, nah. Like,
That's the only thing that
have
does
you ever
make me
tried to
think
give
a
a
cat
cat
would.
medicine?
Yes, which you're just getting bit because you're. The only way to do it is to shove that pill down that cat's throat as the cat gnaws on you.
Yes.
But I will say the fact that you don't want the cat to have it means that the cat might take it. To me, it just goes back to the irresponsibility of Bear, who surely just left that bottle uncapped.
Yeah, 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 100%. And listen, that's fine. But had I not had the experience of living with a cat, I'd be like, oh my God, the cat ate the pills like a dog, right? A
Yeah.
dog will eat a fucking box of crayons and shit the rainbow. But like a cat, Sally, I will give Sally a piece of turkey and she'll just be like, no. It's like, oh, you're a bitch. Okay. So that was a little unbelievable, but I digress. I think that it would have been nice to have some kind of warning because immediately we looked at each other and we're like, we have to go home. Like, what if Sally is dead? But I'm happy to report she's alive.
Thank good. Thank goodness. Knock on wood. Thank good. Have you heard the theory,
Thank
by
good.
the way, that people are like, well, I think the cat possessed Nikki after he made the wish. Have you heard people say this?
Yeah, but I think they're really reaching.
I In interviews, again, Indy Navarrete, who plays Nikki, and Curry Barker were asked about this, and they both are like, that's not something we talked about. So no, we didn't come up with that intentionally.
Yeah.
I don't
And
get that
also,
vibe at all, by the way. If she at one point, like, they were cuddling and then all of a sudden Nikki just bit down on him, I'd be like, oh, I see it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
feel
yeah,
like
yeah.
anything else really screams cat to me about this.
I also think in the beginning, like when Wish Nikki, and I think again, I'm going to assume that we don't have to go into a lot of like plot detail because we're assuming people have seen it already, correct?
I mean, plot detail, I feel like we gave you enough in just the plot summary. Bear breaks the one wish Willow, wishes that Nikki loved him more than anyone in the fucking world, and she does in a problematic way where that's all she knows how to do anymore. She's not really herself at all anymore. She's in the
Right.
backseat of her own body now as she's just, I love Bear.
Yeah. So in the very beginning, when she becomes this version of Nikki, she says things to Bear like, "Oh, my cat just died," and like you start to see how she is truly just like a mirror of Bear and is sort of like starting to learn her role based on how he responds, right?
I
So like,
exactly feel that way. Yeah. That she's like
yes.
just pretending.
So
It feels like she had a look at like the table of contents and is pretending to know the whole book.
yes. And then when he says, "What are you talking about?" she realizes, "Oh, that's not right." Right? Like, let me try again. And so I had intended on bringing this up later, but I want to kind of talk about like I don't want to do what other people do and assign meaning to things where there is none, but I couldn't help but think about your chat GPT, right? And like how I don't how do I sound this without saying like how do I say this without sounding like a dipshit? But like I don't use AI all that often, and I'm very proud of that because I like to use my own brain.
Yeah.
But I will occasionally use Chat GPT to be like, what is this bite on my leg, right? Like, what is it? Is this look like a mosquito bite? Is this an infection, right? Like, whatever. Side note, I don't have health insurance, so this is the best I could do. So sometimes ChatGPT will be like, that looks like a bug bite. It has a center, whatever. And I'll be like, no, it doesn't. It actually is totally flat. And it's like, oh, you're right. It is totally flat. And it's like, okay, well, why? Like, if I said it was blue, would you be like, "Oh, you're right, it is blue?" Like I couldn't help but get that feeling watching the movie that like there was some kind of commentary on how we have developed as people to really just want no friction in our relationships because we've created these frictionless relationships with these chatbots.
And that is sort of how I feel like it is at the beginning for Bear and Nikki. Like when things are good, it's just her going along with whatever he wants. And at a certain point, it feels
Yeah.
like things break down once he's like, well, you need to act like Nikki would, though. And it's like, I, this is what I got. It feels like Pawn Stars almost like best I can do is look like her. You know what I mean? It's,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, things are going to
Yeah.
be weird. That's honestly one of my favorite moments in the movie is him telling her, like, just be normal, just act like Nikki. And I'm trying to remember what it is that she says. She like drops to her knees and says, I can be anything you want me to be. Anything you want me to be. And he's like, no, Nikki wouldn't say that. I just want you to act like Nikki. And she's like, I can't act like Nikki. It just
It
feels
is.
so gross by that point, too.
Yeah.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
One thing I do like about this movie is it feels a little old school in the sense that it is not built on a lot of jump scares. It's built on like dreadful situations, a lot of them.
Yeah.
There is one moment in this movie that really got me the most where I was like, oh. And I'm wondering if it's the same thing for you.
So I'm thinking of two moments. Are you referring to one that does create a jump scare or one that is more like emotionally devastating?
It feels like a clue almost, but I'll say it jump cuts to it, but it is not a jump scare.
Are you talking about the sandwich?
No. So the very famous scene for me that was in the trailer that made me feel like, oh, maybe I should watch this movie is the scene of them at the restaurant. It's the whole no, she has lied about her dad being sick to get Bear to take her home with her so that she can get sympathy from him. And Bear finds out from Ian, who checked in, with doctors in the area of her dad, that her dad is very healthy. Her dad's been going to work, yada, yada. And he sits down and asks her, and this is after there's already been clues of like, this is weird. He asks her, is your dad sick? And she breaks down and she's like, no, 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 no. We're having a nice date. And Bear sits her down, calms her down. And she's like, why does that matter? And he goes, doesn't matter to me. And we get this smash cut to, and I think for me, it's the moment where Bear, like you realize like, oh, this is on the first watch. You're like, oh, this is not a good guy. He's our protagonist, but not good. Bear, no better way to say it, pumping away in Nikki. And it's a horrific moment where you can see Nikki's face and it feels like because she knows that he's not looking at her, her face can be blank as she's just making these positive sex sounds. And it for me was truly like, oh God, like gross moment. And it's a movie filled with gross situations and gross moments, but it truly felt awful. Like it's one of the grossest moments in the movie. The monologue she gives at the party feels disgusting. Everything involving Sandy is horrible. There's another situation you were talking about where it's clearly Nikki doesn't know how to act anymore because she takes the cat out of the trash bag that Bear had put her in, which shows again, Bear, you're not perfect here. That like instead of giving this cat a burial, threw the cat in the trash. She takes the cat out and puts it on like almost presents it like there are candles around this cat and stuff. And you're like, this is, you see Bear a couple times being like, you don't do that, almost talking, which maybe that's where the cat theory is coming from, but trying to train Nikki into being normal.
Yeah.
But boy, oh boy, things go bad pretty damn quick in the movie.
I think for me, the most like devastating moment was when Wish Nikki is asleep, but real Nikki can communicate with Bear and is like, please kill me. Like, don't wake her up. Please kill me. And he's like, what's so bad about being with me?
And her saying, I've never been with you. And the thing about Bear is you realize when you're watching, like every response he gives is he's so self-centered because
Yeah.
she's saying, kill me. She's going through something horrible. And he goes, what's so bad about me? You know what I mean? It's like, this ain't about you no more, bro. Like,
yeah, it's never been about you. Well, you can say the same thing about the cat, right? I don't want to be one of those people that harps about the cat, but like he was negligent in that cat's
no,
death
the cat's a
because
great representation of it. Yeah.
yeah. Um And I think when she put the cat's body out and made some kind of like shrine, right?
Mhm.
I was like, okay, this cat's gonna come up a third time, right? Like that's how it goes. We see the cat dead with the foaming at the mouth with the pills. We see the cat on the, the shrine. We're going to see this again. And boy, did we, when she makes a cat sandwich.
Yeah, the little food critic thing, which also has another really good moment with the two Polaroids. It's the photo of Bear and it says you, and it's a photo of her and Bear, and there's an arrow to herself going, not me.
Hmm.
And you can really feel the whole movie is from Bear's perspective. I feel like if you got any moments from Nikki's perspective, it really would have been like, I don't know if you saw Get Out, but the moment when he sinks into the couch, like sinks into the chair, that
Yeah.
feels like what has happened to Nikki. And
Yeah.
another scene I really like is when he does finally try and call customer service. And again, it's another scene where Bear is horrible because he asks, do you want to cancel your wish? And do you remember what Bear's response is?
I just want to modify it.
He just wants to amend the wish. He has no interest in canceling. He's like, no, I like the whole submissive. She'll do whatever I want. She loves me more than anything. Just gotta cut out some of that weirdness. And I'm like, oh, you are
Yep.
fucking terrible, bro. But that's the movie has a little bit of like, it is very much a horror movie, but there is definitely some good humor in there. Cause I
Yeah.
love him going, so you want to cancel your wish? Yes, we don't really do that. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
So funny. So funny. I really enjoyed that. I I think for the first time in my life, I screamed in the movie theater. Like, when you are like home and somebody scares you and you're like, ah, and it's like
Yeah.
so unnecessary. I had that moment where it was like completely out of my control.
Was it in
Do
the
you want to
car?
guess?
The car scene
Yes.
with Sarah?
Yep, where she smashes her head into the glass and fucking bangs her head into a brick a million times. I screamed. I didn't even see her head break through the glass.
Which we really didn't talk enough about the other two characters. There's really only four characters who matter in this movie.
Yeah.
The other two characters in the friend group are Sarah and Ian. Ian seems like he is probably Bear's closest friend, but has also, we find out, been casually hooking up with Nikki. Sarah is, friends with all of them, but clearly has a crush on Bear. And poor Sarah, who finally does exactly what Bear should have done and gets up the courage to say to Bear, I really like you. Like she just does the damn thing that Bear refused to do. Bear literally is in the situation with Nikki where Nikki says, do you like me? And Bear cowers away.
Yeah.
Now, the only sympathy that I have for Bear in the whole situation is that obviously nobody would have thought like my wish is actually going to come true.
Sure.
But poor Sarah is one of the most victims of this because not only does she die a horrible death, but the twisting of the knife is right afterwards when we see him get back in, I think it's his car, and he opens up her acceptance letter that she finally got accepted from her dream school, Luther Art School or whatever, to be, I think, a tattoo artist. We also, it's that scene where we hear him allude to, you were talking about Nikki being asleep and real Nikki talking. They make a joke about like tattooing proud father on her dad or whatever, and he says, I have sleeping pills right now. He clearly must have drugged Wish Nikki, and that's the only reason we got real Nikki talking.
Interesting.
I saw somebody, I'm trying to remember who it was. It was an Instagram reel. I found it. Andrew Michaels Comedy was talking about the real victim of reception is Sarah's father, played by Andy Richter, who will not have any employees in his shop. Things have gone terribly wrong for that music store. Yeah.
Yeah, that music store is going to be shut down for a while. I like that reel that you sent me where it was like a voicemail left to you by someone who knows all the characters in Obsession. Like, dude, the craziest thing happened. Like,
I was saying when I was rewatching it, I was like, they have that party scene where Ian is having a party, and at first it's supposed to just be a boys' night, but obviously Nikki's not going to go. And it was never actually a boys' night, but this was him just Ian trying to see if Bear could get any space from Nikki. And the party goes horribly wrong. We get Nikki saying, should I read her little monologue?
please.
The air was charged by the distant call of the night bird. His face was obscured, but I knew he was looking at my chest, each side stretching, recently matured to different sizes. Hansel, come lay with me like the old woman taught us when we were children, I said. He closed the door and leaned against it. You're not my wife, Gretel, he said. I'm more than your wife. I'm your sister. Hansel flinched and reached for the door handle. I knew he would not leave this place. He would relent and choose to be inside me like he had many nights before. If not, I would flay his meaty forearm, roll it like a stick of licorice, and insert the flesh between my legs. Hansel is my soul, a love only the branch of a willow tree could conjure. Brother, you will be inside me tonight. And then Nikki plays that casually as though that's something that she's been working on in their, in this Jenga game where I guess she had to admit a secret or something like that. And then real Nikki snaps back for a second. She smashes a bottle into her own head and starts bleeding from her face. She yanks another girl away in a chair. That's the moment, which is actually pretty funny. What is it? She says, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. Come on, it's a joke. I'm just joking. Okay, fine. I'm not joking. Deal with it. Like, which I do love. I'm saying, imagine Ian has to have one other friend who, like, this is the first time he came over to Ian's place, and like, this is the first party he's come to. And can you imagine, like, you're driving home from that place and you're like, I'm never hanging out with that dude again. His friends are fucking weird, bro. Like, you are not going back over for another game night or party at that guy's place.
You're like, Ian seems really cool, but his friends from work are fucking weird.
Yeah.
One thing that I really think about that scene that is so interesting is there are like different questions on the Jenga pieces or like dares or whatever it is. And Bear draws one that says kiss the person to your left. And he knows that Nikki is going to become really jealous and irate and that Sarah is to his immediate left. And instead of lying and making something up, he reads the Jenga piece and like allows this situation to unfold.
The other thing that, if we're going to keep talking about Bear, the other thing that's sad about that situation is moments later, after she has snapped into real Nikki for a moment, smashed a bottle against her head, and she's dripping blood on one side of her face, people are freaking out, and Bear is just sitting there over it because he's kind of like, I'm done with the theatrics or I'm done with the craziness. I do love too, you have like off-screen banter coming out like, dude, you got to get her to a hospital, bro. Like just random voices. And he just really doesn't care about her. And that's what it becomes. It feels like he just wanted to feel good about himself.
Yeah.
It's very sad. The movie is very tragic for everyone involved.
I mean, I feel like it's a commentary on how men view women. It's a commentary on like how little we really know about each other, especially in like modern day social media. Like you think about how many people you know where you don't actually know them in real life. You just kind of follow them on social media. So you have an understanding of like who they would like you to perceive them as, but you don't actually know anything about them, right? Like we do that to each other, and then we all just kind of assume that we know each other, even though we really don't. And how we just really only get like we only ever get the idea of one another. And so Bear is interested not in Nikki as a person, but in the idea of her and in the idea of her loving him.
Yeah, and even in this movie where they're supposed to be these close friends, we find out that Bear really doesn't understand a lot about his friends. He didn't know his one friend was sleeping with his other friend. He didn't realize really that Sarah liked him. He didn't really realize a lot that was going on. He didn't realize that Nikki viewed him more as a brother, which we find out that Ian heard from Sarah that Nikki and Sarah had a conversation. That Nikki said she viewed him as more of a brother. And it said afterwards, but I don't know, maybe Sarah's just jealous or something. I definitely don't think that like the movie is really trying to allude to that as a 50-50 possibility. To me, it seems, I don't think Nikki ever liked him. And I think one of the lines we get right at the beginning is all you have is time, which is obviously followed immediately by finding the dead cat. But he's told all you have is time. And then it's emphasized again when he's with Nikki in the car, dropping her off. And she says, you got to tell me if you like me. Now is the time. And he had all this time up to then. He had several chances up until then. And he still doesn't do it. And, the whole movie really feels like it's fortune favors the bold, because if you had really just gone for it and said something, everything turns out better for everybody, no matter if she says yes or no by this point. You know what I mean? Worst case scenario, Bear is awkward at the next trivia night.
Yeah. Yeah, but everyone is alive. So
yes, the music store still has a staff. Yeah.
Yeah. you may have something about this in the facts, but like, how did Andy Richter get involved?
I think they had actually asked the real owner of the store because it was a famous music store for like 70 years. And I think it actually just recently closed down after a long time, but they asked the actual owner to do it. And I think he was against like cursing at one point in the movie. And so they're like, all right, we'll see if we can get somebody else. And Andy Richter just happened to say yes.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So cool.
He's only in it for like two
Uh,
minutes too, but they said he improv the one line about Karens and they were like, he was actually really funny on set. We just couldn't use a lot of it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes sense. Um, oh God, what was I gonna say? So, have you heard anything about the mirror theory?
No, I don't think, is that what you were talking about? Where it feels like she's just mirroring his wants, like his actions?
No, no. So there's a theory that anytime Nikki sees her reflection in a mirror, she snaps back to real Nikki. So there's like in the very beginning when he makes the wish and she comes back to the car, there's a moment where she's like, "What am I doing? Like, why am I acting like this?" And then she immediately snaps back into Wish Nikki. The side view mirror is there and she like gets a glimpse of herself and is like, what the hell am I doing? There's the theory that the reason, and we have to talk about this scene, that she's standing in the corner away from the bed is because immediately across from the bed is a mirror so she can see herself. So Wish Nikki is trying to make sure she doesn't see herself. In the bathroom, she has moments where she snaps back to normal. And so the theory is that anytime she can see herself, she snaps out of it until she disengages with the mirror.
That's interesting. It sounds like a theory for sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's certainly not something I ever heard them talk about in any of the interviews or any of the research I had done. To me, it feels like one of those things where people, this happened a lot after the Stranger Things finale. We are looking for clues for hidden meaning sometimes. And I'm like, I think the movie has depth. I don't think it's that deep sometimes. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I don't think that's an intentional thing.
Yeah.
You know,
I also think like in many ways, as much as we love depth in movies and we love like, finding these Easter eggs and whatnot, like I think that it plays so much to this movie's advantage that it really just is that simple. Like it is
yeah.
so well done and so well thought out, and it does have subtext and depth, but not to a point where it's like, you need a PhD to be able to like
And
go
it's not
through and understand.
heavily handedly trying to deliver that subtext in any way. It's there, but the movie
Yeah.
is a very simple movie about this wish item that he bought for $7 in this store actually works and it goes bad. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
How
Which they even
about
showed that like the wish doesn't have to go bad. It's just the specific wish he made and the way he made it.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? People want to say like, oh, the monkey paw, but like some of the wishes go really well.
The shop owner says they made their wish and that it went fine for them, which I've heard two theories about that the shop owner is the same woman cashier who decided to change genders, which could be. I have nothing to dispel that. Which the female cashier is actually at the party scene at Ian's place.
Oh, interesting.
The other theory I heard was just that he wished for serenity, so that he's just very happy about his shop or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
We know that Ian makes a wish for, and I do love this moment because you wouldn't believe your friend if they were like, wishes work and this thing is real and I bought it for $7. He just wishes for $1 billion and it just starts raining from the sky. And I love Bear dramatically dropping to his knees as you just continue to hear the money fall. And I think you can hear Ian in the background be like, oh my God, wow. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Love that moment. And you really do feel like fuck, when that happens. Um, I want to talk a little bit about the use of practical effects in this movie.
okay.
Because there are a couple of moments that really stand out to me. One of them that I actually like, I will share a little bit of something that happened to me, is the Uncanny Valley makeup used on Nikki when she's standing in the corner of the bedroom.
Sure. Which it's not, we've seen it in the light now in a lot of behind the scenes photos, but they do a very good job of lighting in this movie. There are so many times where she is in the darkness and sometimes even just a silhouette where we're just getting a glint of the eyes or something like that. And I love how effectively that's done because she's like
The
the shadow
lighting
self, a shadow of the person she is. She doesn't really exist anymore. A lot of stuff there, I'm sure.
The lighting is impeccable because one major complaint that I have about horror movies is that so often you either see way too much of the monster and then it's not scary, or you barely see anything. And it's
Yeah.
like, it's not doing it for me. This was so perfectly done that the other night I woke up at like 12:30. Don't laugh at me. I woke up at 12:30 and had been asleep for a few hours and I had to pee. So I got up and I go into the bathroom and I don't turn the light on because I'm like trying to keep myself sleepy. And I'm
Sure.
like sitting on the toilet and I start thinking about that Nikki. And I'm like, don't think about that. Don't think about that. And I like started getting like, oh God. I was like, don't think about that. Think about something else. I really was like a little freaked out. And I thought, did this movie scare me?
It sounds like it did, man. I'm impressed by it. It really did make me laugh a couple times too. Like more so on the second time because on the first time you're dealing with the horror of the situation, getting close to the end. But Ian coming over while she and Bear are in the middle of this conversation where she has the gun that we found out Sarah's dad keeps at the store, and him knocking on the door, going, "Bear, open the door! I got like $1 billion, dude. It's real." Like that is fucking funny. And obviously it
Yeah.
goes bad instantly, but that's a funny fucking line.
I also like when he goes, inside joke.
As he's throwing up into the garbage can. Yeah.
Yeah. Another practical effects moment that I think is probably one for the books. You would know better than me, but the glass shattering from Nikki's head going into the car window and the Sarah getting smashed to bits.
Mm-hmm. Well, one thing I'll tell you is that is Indy Navarrete actually doing that. There's no stunt man. She's wearing a helmet with a wig on the helmet, which
Yeah.
I feel like if you paused at the perfect moment, I'm sure you could tell, or in behind the scenes video, you get to see it. Works perfectly in the instant we see it.
Yeah. And the rubber glass that they used.
I've also heard they only had 3 shots of it with the glass. And while they were setting it up, they dropped one of them and they're like, we only have 2 shots with the glass.
Have you ever worked with like sugar glass or fake glass?
I haven't. Sometimes I've wanted to just buy one just to break on somebody.
Yeah. I worked on it once when I did the music video that I was in, and they were like, you have one shot. I was supposed to throw, I think it was a heel, like a high heel shoe at the mirror and smash it. And the first time I threw it, I missed entirely. And they were like, okay, we can do one more take.
Good news. We got one more. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, that scene really scared me. And I did see something about how they had originally recorded some like what is it? ASMR or like ASR?
ASMR. Well, ADR are you talking about? ASMR is
ADR.
like when they're making sounds very close to the microphone.
Yeah.
ADR is when they're replacing dialogue in post.
ADR, thank you. Of Sarah like gurgling and like choking
Yeah.
on her blood to show that she's like obviously like still lightly
Apparently in
alive.
the unrated version, they had to cut that down to get that to R because it was apparently much longer at first.
So crazy.
And at the
So I'm
very
glad
end of
that
the movie,
didn't
we
go
do
through.
see Sarah's body, which they were supposed to be getting rid of back at Bear's house. But apparently it's just a sex doll. They were like, it was cheaper to get that than to have anything actually made, which I think is pretty
Yeah.
funny, actually.
Yeah. And then
Sarah.
Nikki is like wearing her hair and
She's
has
drawn
her
her tattoos on herself. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's chain
Crazy.
smoking, trying to act like she smokes. She's like, you like me now?
So insane.
Which, the movie was written and directed by Curry Barker, but I've heard of a couple things here and there that were not like his idea or written by him. One is that Hansel and Gretel monologue was written by Curry Barker's dad, who actually is a playwright.
Yikes.
Well, I think it's great. He wanted it to sound a little different than himself and more eloquent, I'd say.
So his dad wrote that for the movie or
Yeah,
wrote
his dad
it?
helped him, come up with that. Yeah.
Yikes. Okay.
The other thing is Bear's choice at the very end of the movie. So obviously we've been spoiling everything, but Bear is told the only way that the wish will end is to kill her, or when he dies, the wish will end. And at the very end of the movie, he finally seems to realize what he has to do, far too late, quite frankly, because his other 2 friends have already died. And he decides to overdose on the pills, the same ones that Sandy did. And he waits a moment and he goes to still try and throw up the pills because he's still fucking a piece of shit who's like, you know what? Nah, I'm still prioritizing me by this point. And that was the actor for Bear, Michael Johnston's idea to try and throw up the pills.
Yeah.
The other thing is the way the movie ends was not how it originally ended. So at first, the ending was that Nikki does shoot and kill herself along with everyone, and everyone dies basically.
Hmm.
And apparently, I don't remember if it was the studio or somebody suggested, why don't we just do one where it ends with her still alive? So they literally did one take of it, even. And obviously, that's the take
Wow.
that ends up in the movie. And I think the actress for Nikki, Indy Navarrete, said at some point in that scene, even you can see they tried to wipe it all off, but blood, fake movie blood on the roof of the room from her pretending to shoot herself.
Yeah.
And you know what? I do think it works so much better in the tragic way of her being the only one left alive. And it
Yeah.
is such a sad moment of like the credits really even just sit with it. Of you can hear it in the background of the credits, her sobbing, crying as real Nikki is back, only to see that everyone she loves is dead. Like it
Yeah.
brutal. Absolutely brutal.
And you can't help but think, right? Like the cops are going to believe her, you know, like, oh, I had
No.
nothing to do with this. Yeah. So it's over for her. She would have been better off if he killed her.
The other
Um,
thing I'll say that I took away more on the second watch too is the movie loves a slow zoom in. You know what I mean? The movie loves, there's a lot of times where we slowly zoom in. And I noticed upon second watch, the only time we get really a slow zoom out is when the One Wish Willow is snapped to change Bear into the version of Bear that loves her more than anything in the world. And to me, it feels like the shot is obviously supposed to show, you know, like I was talking about alluding to Get Out, Bear leaving his body as he's being replaced by all I know to do is love Nikki Bear.
yeah.
And I kind of like, I loved it. Like in the theater, I got that moment though that of like, oh, he's gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that for a movie that relies on, so uh, let me rephrase that. One of the things that I really like about this movie is that it isn't so out of the realm. Like you do not have to suspend your disbelief so much. There really just is a magic, I guess, toy, would you call it, that
Collectible.
grants you a wish.
Yeah.
Yeah. And once you can get through that, and they don't even like, it's not even one of those things where like everyone knows that that's what it is. It's like Bear doesn't think it's going to be real
Of
until he
course.
uses it and it works. And then we see it happen with Ian when he wishes for the $1 billion. Like it's not so hard to buy into, right?
I love, did you notice the
And
comments on Reddit? No, it's real, guys. My mom was super ugly and she made a wish and she's beautiful now.
no.
Yeah, no, when he's going through Reddit, when he Googles if it's real or not, or whatever their version of Google is, and somebody says, guys, no, it's actually real. My mom was ugly her whole life and she's gorgeous now.
Oh, that's so funny. No, I
Yeah.
didn't even notice that. But you don't have to just suspend your disbelief all that much. And then the rest is just sort of like, I think a lot of the behavioral characteristics of Wish Nikki that are not demonic, right? Are kind of like not like we all know a teenage girl who's done these things at one point, right? Maybe not to the degree of like taping the door closed, but surely like if you wanted me to go, you would have invited me, right? Or like
Oh
the
yeah.
like lying and or the I feel like you don't love me as much as I love you. It was very like, would you still love me if I was a worm, you know?
Extreme, but yes.
And like I think the for me it was like I know women like this, right? Or like I acted this way when I was 14. Like it isn't so unfamiliar. It's just dialed up.
I know we're way past it. Would this have been a better tagline? It's not mutual.
No, because it still sounds like you're writing taglines for like a comedy.
I'm trying here, Gav. I'm trying.
I'm just you got to
It's
get
not
you got to get
easy
the
doing the
tone.
research and being fake tagline guy now too. Okay.
I'll do fake taglines if you want. It's
No,
just
they're
like,
kind of fun.
okay, then do them better or else I'm going to know which one you
I
wrote.
turned into the dad from My Big Mac. No, from My Big Mac Greek Wedding.
No.
Fake taglines.
Um
Why you want to leave me?
let's talk about the scene where she pisses and vomits on the floor.
Also practically done. You can see it in behind the scenes footage too. It's just a
I
tube
love
going
it.
behind her. Yep.
Yep. Um,
Well, that goes
you
back to
know,
the sex scene too, and the feeling of if Bear's not there, she's sort of a blank slate.
interesting. So you take it as she's just, but like, why did she vomit?
I assume it's just her body normally reacting in general. Like I think she pissed and sweat and everything. Who knows? Maybe she choked at one point.
Do you think it's like real Nikki trying to get out?
Maybe.
Yeah,
I think you can hypothesize that. I just think though that it's really just meant to show that she does not care about herself at all. And it also shows that when Bear does come back, Bear doesn't care about her at all, really. Bear's instinct is not,
totally.
let me help you. Bear is over it the moment things are not the perfect sunny version he wants. I don't know. Bear's awful.
I read somebody with a theory that it was like she's just waiting at the door for him like a puppy. She had to pee and she didn't even care. But it's like it I just think it's a little deeper than that because it happened pretty much immediately after he left. So I think yours is closer where like she almost like is a robot that like powers down when he's
Yes.
gone.
Yeah, that is how I view it, especially if nobody's around too. I think like she said that Sarah texted me that it's happening. So I imagine that like she does respond to stimulus still.
Yeah.
But I think if nothing's around and nobody is there to interact with, especially not about Bear, I think Nikki shuts down. Poor Nikki.
I
To
really go ahead.
to go backwards towards the beginning of the movie, I know that I already said I assumed that she didn't really like Bear, even all the way back. Do you think if Bear had said the truth, I like you, I do have feelings for you, do you think Nikki was interested at all?
No.
Probably not. Yeah.
No. I don't
But
think
I
so at
do
all.
get why some lines seem to make him think that maybe that was the case. When I have a crush on a guy, no one knows, you know, she does make it seem like he's the only one she can talk to a little bit.
Yeah. And I think like that's it's so interesting that they are what like 19, 20, or I guess they were drinking at a bar. I feel like they're all
They're
going to
definitely young
college.
though. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she's
So
going
it's
back to, she wants to be a tattoo artist, so she's later doing that. But they are all young for sure.
yeah. So it's like it is a time period when you are not careful with other people's feelings, right? Like irrespective of who the good guy or the bad guy is in this story, nobody is. I mean, look at how Sarah is flirting with Bear, even though she knows that he's in a relationship with Nikki now, and Nikki was hooking up with Ian. Like, they're all careless with one another's feelings. It's just the degree of carelessness.
Yeah, there's a big difference between Ian sort of trying to help Bear figure out how to ask Nikki out while he's also casually hooking up with her than Bear allowing her to smash her face in, or I don't know. Bear, the other thing that is subtly hidden there, you alluded to ChatGPT. We see Bear's ChatGPT searches at one point, and we know he was taking care of his, I think it's his grandmother, and that he's in her house now. He searches for nursing homes and old people's homes to just get rid of her. You know what I mean? He is searching for how to flirt. And like, I just think Bear, at the end of the day, is he one of the greatest monsters in all of cinema? No. In fact, obviously, Freaky Nicky will end up being the much more lasting monster, but he's just very selfish at the time. Immaturity,
Yeah.
selfishness, I think, at first. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but once you get to the point of something's wrong and you want to continue it, yeah, Bear's the bad guy here.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And I think like it makes me really sad for people's media literacy when I see them say that, like, oh my God, somebody said that this movie is about Bear's obsession with Nikki and not Nikki's obsession with Bear. And it's like, yeah,
It just
yeah,
goes to
that
show
I
how
would say.
bad the internet is too, because I do also see takes where it's like, guys, actually, Nikki is the bad guy all along, and Bear's not the bad guy because she does this. And it's like, guy, what are we talking about here? Like, I know she's
Yeah,
wish Nikki is bad that she does the actual murdering, but come on. Like, it does feel like people are just either absolutely stupid or just saying things for the sake of like, if I annoy you into engaging with this, I get 10 cents. Like every
yeah,
time you get mad at me,
yeah,
I get a dime. Now fuck you. Like,
basically, yeah. I totally agree with that because it doesn't feel like a movie where a lot of people should be confused, you know?
Yeah.
So I have one other kind of question that I want to talk about, and this has been a really hot topic of discussion in our house, and there's no right answer. It's just we're just shooting the shit here. But obviously, Indy Navarrete
Hmm.
is phenomenal. Like truly unbelievably talented. But sometimes these things are more of an obstacle to overcome in somebody's career than a launching pad.
Hmm.
So my question for you is like, do you think she will ever work again? Or do you think that this will be a springboard, or will this be the thing that she's known for forever? Like, will she be at Comic-Con dressed as Nikki for the rest of her life?
It's a really interesting question, actually, because it depends. It depends whatever she does next. Because you really just need one other big hit performance. Nothing else. Like, I think this would always be the breakout thing. But the other actress I think of, and it's younger than Indy Navarrete certainly, is Linda Blair from The Exorcist, who was so iconic. I think she was nominated for an Academy Award as like a 13-year-old or something like that. Don't quote me on any of that. But obviously, that's all she became known for.
Mhm.
And I could see that happening, but I know she's already had a meeting with somebody at Marvel to be in like another Marvel movie. She's gonna get roles after this, so it's just, do any of those work? And she was a working actress before this. She was in like 40 episodes of Superman and Lois and stuff like that. Uh, it's hard to say. I hope she gets more work. I've seen people saying maybe she'll get Academy Award nomination, which, it's possible. Horror is normally very overlooked, but boy, oh boy, does she. The movie only works because of how good she is. Like, Michael
Yeah.
Johnson is great as Bear, and his performance lets you sort of tiptoe in thinking like, oh yeah, Bear's fine, and like having to go along and realize how bad he is. Like, he's very good. She's the catalyst though. Like,
Yeah. And she, you know, when you play a role that is number one, so has so much duality because there is real Nikki in there and moments of that that the audience has to be privy to, but it can't be like, oh, the light switch flipped, right? Like there has to be like a natural sort of switch, but it has to also be obvious. When you play a role that has that much duality, but also is that like it has to feel foreign, right? Like it has to feel like something that you've never seen before because it has to make you uncomfortable. So it can't be something that people are familiar with, right? Like we were talking about with being desensitized. We know what zombies look like, act like, sound like, walk like. This has to feel different. It has to feel unique. And god damn, does she deliver? And she makes such strong choices.
I think something as important as anything else that she does is the physicality is really impressive. Whether it be scenes where she has to totally disjoint physicality from what she's talking about, scenes where she is rapidly changing facial expressions or movements that are really impressive. And to me, it's just like part of it. What shows how good the physicality is how many memes from this movie or how much of the photos from this movie is just her making different faces. Like, it's not about
Hmm.
even dialogue or anything. It's just the big smile or her sad face that she makes at the party where she's just frowning. Or there is the moment after she has hit herself at the bottle at the party where she is, it's the moment that comes to my mind right away, rapidly changing faces. Where she,
Hmm.
like, it feels like Witch Nikki is sort of glitching for a second between like, smile, things are good. Oh, I don't know. Like, it doesn't jive. And you're right. It's not just, I think of a possession type movie like the Smile movies, which are unsettling, but every time you see the monster, it's going to have the smile,
Hmm.
or a zombie is going to be, brains, whatever.
Hmm.
There is an unpredictability that really works for her. And I hope she gets more work because this is not going to be like, at least Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger played Freddy Krueger for like 10 movies. I
Yeah.
don't think there's going to be a Nikki Freeman comeback movie.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. And I think what's so good about her is that she navigates Wish Nikki's like not just her unpredictable emotions, but also how she processes what's going on because it almost feels like she's always a half second behind,
Yeah.
where like You know what I mean? Like that is so challenging and she just does it so well. I hope that she continues to work. I think about obviously this is not at all like the performances are not at all on the same level. But when you do horror movies that are so iconic and so memorable, you do run the risk of um just being like really pigeonholed into that genre, especially if you're willing to do things that are like kind of gross or like visually just like people don't forget, you know what I'm saying? And like I think about the girl who was the star of the Human Centipede, and that movie kind of blew up. And I knew her. She really, well, I knew her sister. She really thought that she was going to be something. And it was like, no, dude, like you were the fucking Human Centipede girl. Like it's over for you.
I do think the difference is between these two movies is that movie was big because like, oh, look how gross this is. Like nobody took it seriously as a movie. And
Yeah.
I think this legitimately brought an audience back repetitive times, like several times people were going to see this movie because of how effective they were by it. And
Yeah.
like we said, a lot of the credit for that goes to Indy Navarrete.
Yeah.
Nothing
Yeah.
against, your friend's sister who was the lead of the Human Centipede or whatever.
Well,
Not
and
the same.
the reason that I said it's totally different is because she wasn't good. Like it wasn't a
Yeah.
good performance. It wasn't like, wow, maybe she'll get nominated for an Academy. It's like, no,
Yeah.
it wasn't good. The movie
And
wasn't good. She wasn't good.
this is a great performance, like Toni Collette in Hereditary, Florence Pugh in Midsummer, all these recent horror performances that we're talking about a lot. Um, I could see her getting nominated for something for this.
I hope so. Um, really, 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 really good. And I hope that, it works out for her and she doesn't end up just riding, this wave for the rest of her life.
I hope it works out for all of them because I think, it reminds me the best comps for this movie are movies like Blair Witch Project or something like that. And it's just really impressive to me, that you sort of hope that the underdog story continues. Curry Barker already has another movie that he's getting ready. I know the actress who played Sarah. I think her name is, I have it in the cast, but I think it's Megan Lawless was talking about she was able to quit her job as a receptionist at a tennis club because she's booking roles and she's busier than ever. I think that's phenomenal, and you
Yeah.
hope for these people to continue to achieve that level of success.
So I have to tell you something really funny. Halfway through the movie, I leaned over to Corey when Ian was on screen and I said, I think that's the kid from Two and a Half Men.
I see
His
why
name
you'd
is,
say it.
it's like Angus.
Angus Young, and this is Cooper
No,
Tomlinson.
Angus T. Jones.
Angus T. Jones, and this is Cooper
Yeah.
Tomlinson. Yeah.
And like, I don't know. He just looked like the kid from Two and a Half Men. I was
could
like,
see
wow,
that.
they really grow up so fast.
Oh my god. All right. I think I'm pretty much out of opinions if you want to get to some facts here.
Let's do it.
I want the truth!
Face the facts, ducks.
Facts have no place with an organized religion.
All right, starting with the ratings. On the tomato meter, it has a 94%, 270 fresh reviews, and 17 rotten, with an average rating of 8.1 out of 10. It has an audience score of 94%, with an average rating of 4.6 out of 5. On IMDb, it has an 8 out of 10. This movie is released wide on May 15th, 2026. A lot of places are saying it came out 2025 because it premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival then, but that's not when anybody else could see it. It had a budget of $750,000, and as of July 6th, it's grossed $403 million. When it first opened, it opened in third behind Michael and The Devil Wears Prada 2. The critics' consensus: taking an icky conceit and twisting it to deviously crowd-pleasing ends, Obsession is dauntingly disturbing while also skillfully amusing and thrilling. A couple of reviews. Katie Reif from RogerEbert.com. Navarrete's powerhouse performance helps mitigate this by puncturing Nikki's bipolar outbursts with moments of heartbreaking clarity, reminding us of the human being trapped inside of his misogynistic caricature. Trapped inside this misogynistic caricature, I should say. Perry Nemiroff from Collider. Obsession is the complete package, a fantastic original concept, well-earned laughs, a significant amount of tension, and some downright stellar set pieces. Also features what's already bound to be one of the very best performances of 2026. Kristen Lopez from the film Maven. Obsession is a skin-crawling male fantasy film in the worst way, a screeching, grating tale of misogyny that doesn't want to get in the weeds of its female character's suffering. Which I really don't get, like, what you want, because it's not, to me, that misses the idea that although Nikki's doing a lot of the bad stuff, Nikki is not like the full monster of the movie. Like, I'm like, I think you missed the fact that Bear, we all get that he's awful. Like, if you think that this
Yeah,
is like
she's the
misogynistic,
victim.
yeah, she's a victim
Yeah.
too.
Well, it is misogynistic, but it's misogynistic intentionally.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's
see
the
what I
point.
mean? Like, this is like your job is watch movie and talk about it. Like, hello.
And then we have William Bibiani from The Wrap. Curry Barker's Supernatural Nightmare Obsession is a better version of Wonder Woman 1984. You couldn't call it a remake, but it's certainly playing with the same narrative toys. Wonder Woman 1984 is a weird movie. The film beginning with Wonder Woman wishing on a magic artifact for the person she loves, Steve Trevor, to come back to life. Instead of bringing him back to life, the artifact goes the long way around and makes him possess another unwilling man's body. So Wonder Woman has a romance and a lot of sex without ever getting one participant's consent. And the movie never reckons with how completely horrifying that is. To me, it feels like you got something about Wonder Woman 1984, but I found it funny.
I feel like that person has been waiting their whole life to talk about Wonder Woman 1984.
I do remember that was something people talked about when the movie came out, that they were like, why didn't the thing just make him come back rather than take over some other guy's body who didn't have any part of this? A couple letterbox reviews I have for you. This one from Scott Interrante, who does the music for this podcast.
Hi, Scott.
Honestly, the least realistic thing here is that the small town musical instrument retail store will be busy enough to have that many employees working every day.
That is true.
Very true. Matthew Kelly, who is Nando from Nando V Movies, who's been on the podcast for our Schwarzeneggerian episodes. What was I thinking going to see this in the theater? I'm a coward. This was terrifying.
That's amazing. And I felt the same way.
Abigail said, nobody take this in any way, but Bear looks exactly like if Dave Franco and Charlie Kirk had a baby.
I see it.
Megan Bitchell, awesome movie about how rapists should kill themselves.
Sure.
Benedict Townsend, as a film lover, I was thrilled. As a cat lover, things were harder.
Agreed.
And last one from Yashley, people who can dry swallow pills are demonic.
Oh my God. I thought that too. Oh, I'm so sorry. I meant to say one other thing very briefly. Did you notice the clock error?
No, I think I heard about this after the fact, and I think it is just a mess up of continuity.
I saw the props master was like, the clock, it just is what it is. I don't know. But I was looking for like any clue of anything, and I was like, oh, the clock is different. This is going to come back. And then it didn't.
Not everything has to be a thing. The movie was written, directed, and edited by Curry Barker, who also wrote and directed Milk and Cereal and The Chair, his two famous shorts, which I believe Milk and Cereal is already being adapted to a full-length film. And he's already planning his next movie, Anything But Ghosts, starring himself, Cooper Tomlinson, who was Ian, Bryce Dallas Howard, and Aaron Paul.
So cool.
The movie starred Michael Johnston as Baron Bear, who you may know from Teen Wolf, the TV series, as Corey, Vault the Wonder Deer, and Zack Storm, where he played the titular characters. Indy Navarrete as Nikki, who you may know from Superman and Lois as Sarah, Estella de la Cruz in 13 Reasons Why Season 4, and Trap House, currently on Amazon Prime, which apparently working on Trap House is somebody who also produced Obsession, who recommended her, which, hey, you never know which role can work out.
Yep.
Cooper Tomlinson as Ian, who you may know from Milk and Cereal, Mank, and as Deputy Cecil in 2 episodes of Dunn Ranch, and Megan Lawless as Sarah, who you may know from The Hate You Give, The Death That Awaits, and Killer Rental, also starring Andy Richter as Carter. Are you ready for some fun facts?
I can't wait.
So, during Curry Barker's first week at New York Film Academy, their campus in LA, he met Cooper Tomlinson. They began making videos for YouTube, forming a sketch comedy duo called That's a Bad Idea, and moved in together. They both dropped out of film school and continued making videos while Barker was working at Starbucks. Barker made his short Milk and Cereal for $800 and spent a year trying to get distribution, and instead released the full movie on YouTube, where it went viral and got him a representation deal with United Talent Agency.
Wow.
So I think it's kind of cool the way these two guys have known each other this long and have been like, we're sticking it out, bro. Like,
Yeah.
we're going to make it. The movie was picked up by Focus Features for distribution for $15 million after a bidding war. Several distributors wanted it, including A24 and Neon. In some of the scenes where Nikki and Bear. Okay. In some of the scenes with Nikki and Bear before he makes the wish, director Curry Barker had Indy Navarrete do 2 different takes of the same scene. One take where she actually was interested in Bear, and one take where she wasn't. Both takes of the scenes were incorporated into the final cut to highlight the uncertainty as to whether Nikki truly likes him or not, considering the film is primarily shown through Bear's perspective. And I do think on first watch, you can kind of get that too. Like where you're like,
yeah,
is she into him a little? Curry Barker said that Indy Navarrete initially surprised him because of how calm she was when preparing for the shoot. She's one of those people where she was very reserved in her rehearsals, so it was very much a mystery to me what she was capable of. I remember the scene where she's kissing Bear on the bed and she flies back. And I looked at my producer, Haley, and I was like, okay, we got a movie. We only did 1 take of that. I also feel like hearing Curry Barker talk, he is not like Kubrickian where he needed 50 takes and he was like, we got it, move on, which apparently is how Clint Eastwood like directs. I don't know if you've heard this before, where actors will say like, do you want me to do another one for safety? And Clint Eastwood will be like, you think it was bad? He's like, no, then let's move on. Like, okay.
That's so funny. I imagine that's a budget thing too, right? Like we don't have the money to do that again.
It was like, all right, we got it, let's go. Yeah.
Yeah.
The plot of Obsession is very similar to a Tales from the Crypt episode, Love to Death, season 3, episode 1, and also a variation of the Twilight Zone episode, The Chaser, season 1, episode 31. In both stories, an obsessive young man obtains a love potion to win an indifferent woman's affections, only to find her unbearable, leading him to seek a lethal antidote. Both stories trace back to John Collier's short story, The Chaser, originally published in The New Yorker on December 28th, 1940.
Interesting.
I already said producer Christian Mercury is the one who personally advocated for casting Indy Navarrete based on his experience working with her on Trap House, stepping outside his usual practice of leaving casting decisions to the director and production-focused producing. In portraying Nikki, Indy Navarrete took inspiration from Megan Fox in Jennifer's Body, Toni Collette in Hereditary, and Mia Goth in Pearl. Despite being the engine of horror in the film, Indy Navarrete is not a fan of horror movies. Co-star Michael Johnson recalled watching Hereditary with her and said she literally ran out of the room. In an interview with Collider, Curry Barker revealed that incorporating the Wish plotline came after he caught a rerun of an episode of The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror 2 featuring a monkey's paw storyline, which he was only watching because he was getting ready to watch on cable TV. He guest appears in an episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and it was on before that episode.
That's so funny.
In the scene when Bear wakes up to find Nikki behaving strangely, a dancer was brought in to double Indy Navarrete when she walks around the bed. That's why Nikki is holding the flowers in front of her face.
Mm-hmm.
Steven Spielberg revealed he's a fan of the movie Obsession, and Obsession then became the first non-Christmas release movie since Spielberg's E.T. the Extraterrestrial to increase its box office grosses in its second and third weekends of release. Which is crazy, because typically movies drop like 50% from week 1 to week 2 at a minimum. Supergirl dropped like 75%, which, I was a little sad to see. I don't think it was that bad, but whatever. Not about that. To see movies increase in business week to week doesn't happen, really. The production's most harrowing moment came during Sarah's death scene, so this is more details, which required breaking a candy glass window. The art department shattered the first piece, carrying it to the car. A large piece of styrofoam ruined the second take. The entire scene came down to one final piece of glass, which appeared in the finished film in the last take. I do think there is behind the scenes footage of Curry Barker just being like, you're going to have to go really fast right at it. Like, which is a crazy thing to say to your lead actress, like, just wallop your head into this fucking thing. Initially, the movie opened with a shot of Bear watching a romantic movie on the couch with Sandy dead at his feet. The cinematography mirroring the shot at the end of the film. Barker ultimately cut it because the scene at the diner served as a stronger establishing moment for Bear. But I do totally see how you could have had it pan from him on the couch down to the cat back to the TV, the same way at the end we have it pan from her on the couch down to his body back to the TV.
Mm-hmm.
Curry Barker revealed that his next film, Anything But Ghosts, is set in the same universe as Obsession and will feature a scene with a news report of a triple murder committed by a woman, suggesting Nikki was indeed arrested and charged with all 3 deaths.
Wow.
Ian tries to help Bear win Nikki over with dubious advice, such as trying not to be direct with her or calling her by a nickname they know she hates because it was used by her bullies in high school. With the revelation in the third act that Ian and Nikki have had a casual relationship, it's quite obvious in retrospect that Ian was purposely giving Bear bad advice to make him fail in his attempts to confess his feelings to Nikki. Now, I saw that on IMDb and I was like, I don't know if that's true. I think maybe that's just what worked for Ian.
Yeah, I think like again, they're young and dumb. Like these are not adult people that like know how to be in relationships.
Yeah. Very last fun fact I have for you here. The voice on the other end of the One Wish Willow helpline, the customer service voice, is director Curry Brooke,
Yeah.
which I think he said he was like, I literally just did it because we needed to cast somebody while I was editing it. I didn't want to go through all the rigmarole of casting somebody. I'm SAG. I cast myself. I was able to just record it in my attic or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, Gab, that's all the facts I've got. Do you want to get to some mail?
I would love to open some mail.
Mail time! When you control the mail, you control information.
Mom asked me to ask you if there's any mail for us here by mistake.
What?
Okay, let's start with a couple comments we have. So this was a comment on my converting for a spouse, that short we did for my big fat Greek wedding, where
Yep.
I said I would not convert unless they could give me a foreskin. And Brian Manili, who was a guest on Over the Garden Wall, said, Dylan, always out of pocket, which I guess I appreciate.
That's nice. It's nice that you are being accused of being out of pocket for once and not just me.
Yeah, and then we have a comment on the episode from the Julie Jones. Not
Oh.
a Julie Jones, the Julie Jones.
I know Julie Jones. What's up, Julie?
Oh, wait, for real?
She's an old client of mine. Yeah.
Well, she had some Star Wars takes. Empire Strikes Back is the best out of 4, 5, and 6, even though Return of the Jedi has the best line of the trilogy, which is, and now, young Skywalker, you will die.
Oh God. Yeah. He sounds like such a vagina.
Review 4, 5, and 6. Solo adds literally nothing of significance to the overall story. Rogue One answers a question from A New Hope that no one cares about. Spoiler alert, no one cares how Leia got the plans for the Death Star. She's mostly right, but Rogue One was pretty cool. It was a fun time.
Yeah. I think nostalgia like trumps everything, right? Like Star Wars doesn't have to be good. We're still going to watch it. We're still going to get excited. We're still going to get like fired up and emotional.
It's funny because I think we were talking just before I hit record. I had told Gab that I saw Toy Story 5 and I thought it was good, but there was no need for it. It's the same way I feel about Star Wars. There's been good stuff after 4, 5, and 6. There was no need for any of it, though. What happened to trilogies and ending there?
Corey actually just said to somebody recently at the gym that things just need to stop at the trilogy. Like, make a trilogy. I think we were talking about Saw. Like, 1, 2, and 3. Amazing. No need to go any further. So I agree with that sentiment. However, don't you think that George Lucas knew what he was doing when he made 4, 5, and 6? Like, he knew what the plots of 1, 2, and 3 were going to be, no? Or am I making that up? Because it was always called Episode 4.
It was not.
Oh,
when the first movie comes out, it came out in theaters as just Star Wars.
A New Hope. No?
No. A New Hope was added later.
Oh my God, my whole life has been a lie.
Yeah, so initially in 1977, Star Wars comes out. I think he called it 4, 5, and 6, though, long before he came up with 1, 2, and 3. So yes, I think I've heard George Lucas say before that he always in his mind had the idea for 9 at some point. I still think, though, now that we have 9 of these fucking Star Wars movies, really even more than that, 12 theatrical Star Wars movies by this point, if you count Mandalorian, I really don't think any of them have added significantly enough as 4, 5, and 6 have.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think if there's ever going to be a point in time where you have to pick 3, you're going 4, 5, and 6.
I do love how now our mail segment is just going to become each episode. We will take 10 minutes to talk about Star Wars.
I mean, listen, this is a tremendous part of not just my life and not just your life, but society as a whole. Where would we be if George Lucas never came up with the idea for Star Wars? Additionally, quick question. Who do you think sat around the table at Disney when they were coming up with this new movie, this whatever just came out? What was it? The Mandalorian movie?
And Grogu.
And said, guys, what if we took Jabba the Hutt, but we made him kind of sexy?
Kind of swole Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah, what if we just made him like Jabba the Hutt, but like kind of brolic?
You know what kids like? The bear. We'll take that guy and make him sexy Hutt.
Oh, God, it's just so gross.
I don't know. I had no interest in that movie. I didn't see it.
Did you see it?
I won't see it. Probably
Yeah.
ever. Maybe I'll watch it on streaming, but I still haven't seen the 3rd season of The Mandalorian.
We've watched a couple episodes. I do really like it.
I
It's
really like the
just-
first 2 seasons. I don't care enough about Star Wars that it feels like too much. I keep up with all the Marvel stuff. I keep up with a lot of DC stuff. I can't do all of it. God damn it.
You were into Star Wars when we were younger, though.
I'm still into 4, 5, and 6. If you said, let's hang out this weekend and watch Star Wars 4, 5, and 6, I'd be like, bet, let's fucking do it.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
We do need to talk about getting together to do a very similar thing.
You turned into a snake for a second there.
Yeah. I was going to say to do a very similar situation, but that didn't work.
Similar situation. Yes.
Yeah.
I would be down.
Okay.
So we will have to figure out a time to meet up. We're talking about testing the waters of doing multiple movies in one episode. So if we do that, maybe then we could do Star Wars. Star Wars just feels so much more daunting.
I think that's crazy because how is it more daunting if you've seen them all 100 times? They're beloved. The talking points write themselves.
Well, Gab, I like to actually watch the movies and talk about them and research them. I'm not just here for talking points. What do you just look them up on Wikipedia before we talk, Gab? Is that all you do?
Only if I don't remember the plot.
Where was I? But we still have more comments, by the way.
Okay, that was Julie Jones.
Thanks, Julie. We also have a comment from Legacy Odinson. I don't have thoughts on the movie, so I'm bouncing off your responses to Kyle's question. Evil Dead is one of those which I don't remember what Kyle's question was. So hopefully you, viewer, do remember.
Yeah.
Evil Dead is one of those franchises that truly has no bad sequel. The worst movie in that franchise is the first one, although I do prefer Evil Dead 2 to Army of Darkness, though, which I disagree hard with you on Legacy. Army of Darkness
Which one
is the best.
What did we watch?
We watched Evil Dead Rise, which they just came out with the new Evil Dead Burn, which I haven't seen yet, and I'm trying to convince Zach to go to the movies to see. Because the last movie he saw in the theaters was Evil Dead Rise, like 4 years ago.
That's so crazy.
I have plenty of Star Wars hot takes, but I will say I think Rogue One is my favorite Star Wars movie across the board. Watching Andor was just icing on the same cake. Eat that, Julie Jones.
Wow, that is a hot take.
Yeah, that is a hot take.
But good for you, Legacy. Like don't let other people's opinions change how you feel in your heart.
Legacy, what are your thoughts on the sexy hut? Are you pro or con?
I
Yay
can't
or
see
nay?
how anyone in this world would be pro.
Did you watch The Bear?
A couple of episodes, maybe like 4 or 5 episodes. I love Eben Moss. What's his face?
Bacharach?
Yeah, Bacharach.
He's
I
also
love him.
in, not The Mandalorian Grogu. He was in Andor. He was in the first season of Andor.
He was on Girls. Did you ever watch Girls?
I did not.
Oh, you should, Dylan. You should.
I do like that Adam Driver, though.
I mean, Adam Driver gets his start on Girls. He's
He might be
amazing.
in X-Men.
Oh my God. He
might
was in
be-
Star Wars. Loved him. Great.
He was great. He was honestly probably the best part of 7, 8, and 9.
He is so freakishly talented. So listen, I'm going to tell you this. Girls seems like on the surface a TV show that would not be made for you, right? That you'd be like, I don't know, that I'm not the intended audience for this.
I'm not
I
Girls.
had Corey. Right, exactly. Girls, not me. I had Corey watch it. We watched the entire show in like 2 to 3 weeks. He fucking loved it. And name a bigger bro. You know what I mean? It is so good. The acting and the writing is so fucking phenomenal. You would love it. And everyone in it is so good, including Eben Moss Bacharach and Adam Driver.
I don't like your depiction of Corey. Corey's not a bro. Corey's for the gays, the theys, the girls. He's for everyone.
Yeah, he did cry at our wedding. Oh, that's right. You missed that part. That wasn't even meant to be
The
a fucking
traffic
dig.
was terrible. The World
I
Cup.
told you not to drive.
Pride. Not that I'm against Pride. Pride was great. But God damn it.
I told you to take the train. I told you probably on this podcast to take the train.
You told me prior to recording an episode of the podcast, and I told certain people that you know who that ran late.
Unacceptable. It's all right. Well, anyway, you'll have to take my word for it that he cried.
I'm sorry. I just got this message from Kyle that I have to play right now.
Okay.
Gab and Corey, I just wanted to say congratulations. I love that you guys did a wedding themed movie for the podcast. I think that's absolutely incredible. Dylan, I'm glad you're here as well. And it just made me think specifically about the way that weddings are presented fictitiously, whether that be in a movie or a TV show. There's been many, many TV weddings that were events. There have been some real world weddings that are events. And yes, Gab, here it comes. What are some famous pop culture weddings that you remember distinctly? Could it be waiting to watch one of the royals get married? I didn't do that, but I know some people did. Or was it a major TV event or a film? I'm just really curious if any have really stood the test of time in your minds. So I'm looking forward to hearing your answers on this week's question of the week. Keep up the great work on your podcast. Gab and Dylan, you rule. And someday I hope to meet Corey. Bye.
Bye, Kyle. He can't hear me. So
Wow,
did he only want real or fake weddings?
I think he said both.
Okay.
So right away, top of mind. First, I just want to say that I have never watched a royal wedding. I will never watch a royal wedding. I'm not really interested in them.
Yeah, fuck them. They tried to tax us.
Yeah, tea in the Boston Harbor and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Uninterested in that. I do remember as a teenager when Kim Kardashian got married, like the first or second time, it was like such a big deal because they
Chris
televised
Humphries,
it.
that one?
Yeah, I didn't give a shit about that. But there are two fictitious weddings that I was very invested in. Okay.
Okay.
First is, of course, the wedding of Jim and Pam.
Oh, that's a good one. Okay.
Yeah. Now, I was pretty disappointed because they don't actually show the wedding reception and like everything goes wrong and they kind of like harp on this whole idea of like, oh, my tie is fucked up, so we went and eloped, even though all of our friends and family are waiting for us at this venue. Like, I didn't love the way they did it. I did like the little flash mob that they did. I thought it was cute. I think they like under budgeted for that episode. They should have had a wedding reception. But nonetheless, Jim and Pam getting married was a pivotal moment for me.
That's a good pick.
Second,
Good
and
answer.
arguably more, what's the word I'm looking for? Like stuck with me for longer.
Mm-hmm.
How about the red wedding?
Oh, okay. Also, both your answers much better than anything I've thought of so far. Because the only thing that's sticking in my head for some reason is Corey and Topanga and Boy Meets World.
Never a Boy Meets World kind of girl. I haven't seen their wedding.
It's fine. I'm more so remembering, honestly, there's another episode where I think Corey, Topanga, and Sean are at a wedding, and the father of the bride hates the groom so much that he's trying to pay Corey to marry his daughter. And Corey's like thinking about it because he keeps offering more and more money, and he's like, "Oh my god!"
That's
he's like,
funny.
"You'll take over my family business. I'll give you $1 million salary." Like, I don't know. Other than that, I'm trying to think of like a lot of these. I'm thinking also of movies where there are weddings or wedding related things like Meet the Parents type of stuff.
Mm.
Which, have you seen the trailer for that new one, Meet the In-Laws?
Yeah, I have.
It's a shame because everything about it looks good. I just don't like Ariana Grande and her gaunt skeletal face appearing on my screen, which I hope that's not offensive. I don't know. Something about her just rubs me the wrong way.
It's not offensive. I completely agree with you. Look me up on Instagram if you want to see my opinion about that. Yeah, I am not a fan. On the subject, and I don't want to get too far away from Kyle's question, but on the subject, how do you feel about the rhetoric now with like actors and specifically, I guess, actresses, although men fall into the category too, with so much Botox that their faces are not expressive?
I feel like Nicole Kidman was the first person I thought of, which I don't want to be too harsh upon plastic surgery. I guess has always been a thing. I think the thing I feel like I'm noticing more and more now though is people removing what's it called, the buccal fat, and it's just like I don't think it's ever worked out well. And people who are also just, and maybe I saw some of this honestly from your Instagram, but in general, I'm seeing people who are, it's like too much Ozempic. Like,
yeah.
Charlize Theron, I think it was on the red carpet for the Odyssey, and I was like, who told Charlize Theron she was too heavy? Like, well, what are we doing here? You know what I mean?
I know. I don't remember, and I'm so sorry that I can't pull this out of my ass, but I don't remember what scene it was. But I saw a scene of two actresses going back and forth. It might have been Sydney Sweeney and somebody else, and the woman opposite Sydney Sweeney had so much Botox in her forehead that she was like unable to produce a face of anger. And Sydney Sweeney is very young and has obviously not overdone it. And so her eyebrows were moving and she had wrinkles in her forehead. And it was like she was so much more expressive than this other woman. And it was like hard to look at them go back and forth, you know?
Yeah, I think I appreciate people who are willing to age more now. And maybe it's just
Yeah.
because I have no choice but to age, but I'm like,
Yeah.
come on, man. Like some people, faces cannot freeze. We have to move, especially if you're an actor.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't care if you're a regular person who decides to get Botox, but as an actor, it feels like you're like ruining your instrument, you know? Like emotion is your thing. You have to be able to express it.
Yeah.
But otherwise, important weddings, yeah, I mean, obviously, I care quite a great deal about Taylor Swift's wedding. I don't know if we're gonna get any.
I do not give one iota of shit about that wedding.
Yeah, and that's okay. You're allowed.
That's the one thing that, like, if we were gonna be like totally anti each other's takes on, I feel like that's the lane. If we ever need to start a podcast, we could be. We already did, but if we ever need to start another podcast about like one of us is pro, one of us is anti, we could just do a Taylor Swift thing every week, and then I'll get murdered eventually. But whatever.
I just think it's so interesting that you hate her so much. I just feel like she can't possibly interfere with your life all that often.
You know, it's a surprising amount. I think because I like pop culture so much, she's just so ingrained, and it feels like she's a billion-dollar industry. She's taken over too much. It feels like, I don't know. She reminds me, she's like the musical equivalent of an Elon Musk to me, where it feels like it's like, oh no, everything has to be about you, doesn't it? Oh, you have to re-release your songs again so that we have to go through the cycle of it again. And it feels like these people to me, and yes, I'm now lumping the two of them together. Elon Swift to me feels like a dragon hoarding wealth and power up there. I'm like, let somebody else have a chance, god damn it.
I guess, but I feel like Taylor Swift is so like charitable and does so many like, and listen, any charity is a tax write-off, right? Like I'm not suggesting that everything is done out of the goodness, but I feel like that's a tough comparison. And I also actually think that after she got the rights to her music back, she stopped re-recording her songs. And honestly, I loved the re-recording. So I'm a little bit like, excuse me, like, but
I'm
now
telling
that
you, I found our lanes of total opposite here.
It's crazy. All right, listen, I'm not going to argue with you about this, but I am really excited to see the wedding photos. I'd like to get a look at like what she was wearing. I respect their privacy. It's fine.
It's also, I hate both of them too, because I hate Travis Kelce, and that's mostly just because people wanted to anoint the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes immediately to be like, this is the greatest NFL dynasty ever. And I'm like,
really?
And I feel a little bit better about it because the Patriots have gotten better again because of Drake May. But it was like, my team just went through 20 years of being the best team in the league, winning 6 Super Bowls. And you want to tell me that they've immediately been overshadowed? No, I deny it. I don't believe it. And I don't agree with it. Oh, by the way, I found another good TV wedding. Leslie Knope and Ben Wyatt.
Oh, yeah, I don't really remember their wedding. I've watched that whole thing twice. I don't remember
There's some people out there who like Parks and Rec like way better than The Office now, I feel like.
Listen, I love Parks and Rec as much as anybody should, but The Office is such a better show. I think The Office is the best show on television that has ever come and ever will come.
Whoa, that's a bold take. I don't know about that.
I stand by it.
Okay. It is up there, but I don't know if I would say that.
Even the later seasons when Steve Carell leaves, I still think it's amazing. No. Amazing.
Seasons 8 and 9 are significantly weaker, and everyone knows it. It ended well. The last 2 episodes are good, but season 8 and 9, no. As Kanye West once said, I'm gonna let you finish. Season 8 and 9 are 2 of the not best of all time.
Fine. Yeah, I guess.
And I will not quote Kanye on anything else.
I was gonna say, interesting take. All right, we've been doing this for too long.
Yeah, you're right. We're gonna stop recording mail now and get to some other stuff. Here's more Obsession.
Do or do not. There is no try.
The guilty will be punished.
Sentence is death.
This was your movie, so I feel like you got to be the one to go first, which I'm very surprised with what I'm hearing so far about. This is, I feel like, the first horror movie we've talked about where you talked about a moment later after seeing it where you thought of the movie and it like affected you.
Yeah. I think that, as I mentioned to you earlier, so first of all, this is a very unusual circumstance because I nominated this movie after not having ever seen it. I just said, "Hey, I'm going to see this. I know you've seen it. Should we talk about it?" People seem to like it. Um, so I did not have super high hopes because I don't typically like this genre. As I mentioned, I think it's either like the suspension of disbelief is so crazy that I'm like, "What are we doing here?" Or it's really gory, or whatever. This movie was the perfect blend of suspension of disbelief, but with, everything else kind of being rooted in reality. It stuck with me so much. There were moments that were kind of disturbing in a way that kept me engaged, didn't make me recoil and like freak out. And I thought about it for days. I'm still thinking about it. It is so well done. It is so well written. I love that it had a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's not going to turn into a 10 movie series. I love that it was written by a young person who just pulled themselves up by their bootstraps and made a movie. I loved it. And I don't know that I necessarily want to watch it again anytime soon. I can't believe you watched it at home. Um, but I thought it was awesome. I would recommend it to anybody who likes horror, doesn't like horror. It was smart. And I think that's the best thing it had going for it. So I say, yay.
Wow. I am really shocked here. And I feel like, it was interesting hearing Curry Barker talk. And he said, before any of this happened, I think my greatest success imagination for the movie would have been it ended up on Shudder and got a big audience on Shudder that maybe could have led to the next thing. And, I don't think that this is a revelatory horror movie that like changes everything. But I think maybe it's a return to something simple, direct, relatable in the sense of it's real people and real relationships. You know what I mean? There is not that much supernatural to it.
Yeah.
And it's kept people coming back. It really is the little movie that could. I do feel like it's the closest I'll ever come to, like, as an adult experiencing what happened with the Blair Witch Project, where people, a little differently, like, thought that movie was real. But this movie has really been incredible. And I feel like I hope it's a gateway for people who normally aren't that into horror to maybe watch a little more horror, because there's a lot of great stuff out there. I think if you and I hadn't watched it again and really discussed it, I don't know if I would have watched it again and had it stick with me more. But I appreciate it. And you know what? I'm gonna give it to it. I'm gonna say, let's make it a movie to watch before you die. It's nice to get another horror movie up on there because I know you're normally against them. I can't believe it.
Yeah, I can't believe it either, Jill. I was equally as shocked as you were. A couple of follow-up questions before we let the listeners go. Number one, um, so Corey has a client who is a big time movie producer, and so we get a lot of like information from him. He said personally that he does not want to watch this movie or support this movie because the people who are in it have not received a cut of the profit, right? They were paid what they were paid for their time in the movie, but they have not since been compensated, due to its success. How do you feel about that?
I think what's going to come from this is, and I hope it is for everyone, like I said, who worked on it, bigger and better things will come from having made this movie. Mm-hmm. Whoever the cinematographer was for this, can you imagine the next movie you try to get on when you say, that movie that just out of nowhere made $400 million? Yeah, I was a part of that. And I hope it works that way for everyone. I get people who were like, no, it's not fair. And I hope that, for whoever is making a ton of money, Focus Features, Blumhouse, that they give some of that back to the cast, the crew. I know Curry Barker, I think, has already gotten like a bonus out of it, but the wealth should be spread for the massive success of the movie. I don't think it should be inherently an expectation, but I think at a minimum, the hope is people are going to go on and make more from this. Was it you, Gab, that had sent me the thing about Miles Teller was only paid $20,000 for Whiplash? But
yeah,
does Miles Teller end up in Top Gun Maverick, where I'm sure he made a fuck ton more, if not for Whiplash? No. The hope is with each job, if you're a small working actor or working in film, that you can take it with you to the next job. And I think that this is a super shot to everyone who worked on this movie. I hope.
Yeah.
Like in your resume, this is huge.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's one of those things where like, yeah, hopefully people are given, something for their efforts, especially because no one assumed that this was going to happen. But I also think that there is a number one, an incredible boost to the fact that, you had a hand in this. Certainly, it way more important for your resume than, if it hadn't done that well, right? And it was just another thing you could cut up to put in your reel.
Yeah, way better to
Um,
have made 5 grand on this movie and it made $400 million than for you to have made 50 grand on this movie and it went on Shutter and nobody saw it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Second thing is, one of the things that Corey's client, always talks about is how impossible it is to get anything made nowadays because everything is so expensive and everybody is so cheap. So, how do you feel about, being two young people saying, fuck it, we're going to make this movie. They made it for 750,000. How do you feel about like that as a concept here?
I still think it's obviously we're saying $750,000 is so cheap. That's still a lot of money, and they still managed to make a pretty professional looking movie, by God. And I often think of I've heard a lot of people say this, so I can't remember where specifically I got it. Studios are so afraid of failure that every movie now is we'll spend $200 million and it's gonna hit. We need it to hit. If we make 10 movies a year for $200 million each, we just need 2 of them out of those 10 to hit. Well, back in the day, you used to have like, yeah, you had your big movie every year where you spent $100 million making it, but they used to have, we'll put out 20 other movies that cost $5 million each. And if one of those hits, like Obsession just hit, it is the ultimate boom. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Not everything can be the Avengers and the MCU. Not even the Avengers and the MCU can stay the Avengers and the MCU.
Yeah.
So I think at some point we need to be a little more courageous to take chances on smaller ideas. And I'm not saying put $200 million into Curry Barker's next movie. That's the wrong takeaway here.
Yeah.
But keep finding people who have ideas and originality and giving them some scratch to go out and make something.
Yeah. Because I'm tired of seeing remakes.
It's also the only way you find new talent. Like, nothing against, there are so many working actors and actresses that I love, working directors that I love. But sometimes rather than get the 80th movie by somebody we know already, at some point we have to get the first movie by somebody new.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. Cool. Well, if you are still here listening to us yap, thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate all of the love and feedback that we get in our mail week after week. Please send us an email, movieswatchbefore@gmail.com. You can leave us a comment on any place that you are listening to this podcast currently, or some other place if you feel like it. You can send us a suggestion. We might listen. We might not, but we may. You can send us things to play, print, etc. We accept all forms of art and currency. In the link tree below, you will find a link to our friends at the Hall of Pods podcasting network. You can feel free to check out any of their awesome podcasts. You will find a link to our merch store where you can buy shit that has our logo on it. You'll find a link to my Venmo where you can send me money for being your favorite podcast host and some other cool shit. But listen, the important thing is if you're going to make a wish, word it correctly.
If you read the back of the box.
Is it even real?
Yeah, it's real.
No, I know that the... Is her love real?
Just because you chose this for her doesn't make it less real.